my name is Pascal. Today we are going to answer the question whether Stronglifts 5x5 is enough to build muscle. Now, the easy answer to that question is yes, especially for beginners. Now, you can go a bit deeper into the topic, so stick with the video if you want to learn more. Otherwise, you can also follow the link in the description box below to my 10,000 word review of Stronglifts 5x5, where I will also outline the matter in a bit more detail. If you go a bit deeper into the question of whether Stronglifts 5x5 is enough to build muscle, then you have to look at who is most likely going to look into Stronglifts 5x5. What are the major parts for actually building muscle? And then the last bit would be whether Stronglifts 5x5 is actually optimal against the goal of building muscle. Now, for the first two, it will be a yes. So, who is looking into it and is it enough of a stimulus for them to actually grow muscle? For the diet, it will be a bit tricky, and I will go into that a little more. And the last question of whether actually Stronglifts 5x5 is optimal for building muscle, it will be a no. But let's look at each of these components by itself. The first component to look at when you are answering the question of whether 5x5 is enough to build muscle is who's actually looking into the program. Now, most likely you are a beginner in strength training in the gym, you are looking up different templates, and you might fear that Stronglifts 5x5 is just up your alley because you want to work with a barbell, you want to pack on some muscle, and you also want to gain some strength, but you also don't want to go too extreme in one of the two directions. So if that is you, which is very likely if you're watching that video, then Stronglifts 5x5 is more than enough to get you started building muscle. There are tons and tons and tons of people who have done the program from 6 to 18 months and are very, very happy with it, because beginners are on a steep learning curve. So if you start any kind of resistance training in the gym, then you will actually gain muscle and strength no matter what you are doing. Now, Stronglifts 5x5 itself with the 3 compounds lifts and using a barbell is, in my personal opinion, a lot of bang for your buck, but you can also debate that in a few different dimensions and directions. I will say that Stronglifts 5x5 is enough to build muscle for a beginner. If you're not a beginner, if you're already very packed and very muscular, then still, if you haven't trained with a barbell, you probably will still get something out of Stronglifts 5x5. If you have been training with a barbell for 10 years, Stronglifts 5x5 might not be the best approach. Next component of whether Stronglifts 5x5 is enough to build muscle is actually diet. So while that doesn't necessarily have something to do with the program itself, it is a component that is often overlooked. If you want to pack on muscle, you also have to be willing to go into a caloric surplus, most likely into a clean caloric surplus, and that to achieve that needs considerable changes in your cooking habits and also how often you eat a day. And that is often a lot harder than actually going to the gym, because Stronglifts 5x5 itself will only take 3 hours in the week out of your busy schedule, but changing all of your diet habits, counting the calories, and really being really committed to the process of growing muscle also in the kitchen and whenever you go out, that is really the tricky part of building muscle that a lot of people don't really adhere to. So where the war is won and lost in terms of building muscle, that is usually your dietary habits and not the habits in the gym. The last component to answer in terms of whether Stronglifts 5x5 is enough to build muscle is whether the program is actually optimal towards the goal of building muscle. Now that is a no. Now why is that a no? If you look into research and also most advanced programs which are being used by people who compete in strength, then if they want to grow muscle, they usually up the amount of repetitions at a lower intensity. Intensity meaning less weight on the barbell. So they will work somewhere between 8 to 15 repetitions per set. That means Gironda 8x8, German volume training, or dramatic transformation protocol are better templates to follow for muscle gain than Stronglifts 5x5 itself. So it is suboptimal towards the goal of building muscle. However, it is very, very optimized against getting beginners bought into the progress, because there is a very positive feedback loop of adding more weight right up front. And I will take that any day over training optimally, because training optimally for muscle gain means you go near to failure on every set as a beginner. And believe me, that is not pleasurable. And you also only will see gains if your diet meets the requirements, and it will be about 30 to 60 days delayed, maybe even up to half a year, depending on, how things come together. So torturing yourself for 6 months without even seeing a lot of gain, that is probably something that will get most people to drop out of training. So just keep these things in mind when you're deciding for a program like Stronglifts 5x5 or something else. Yes, it is suboptimal towards the goal of building muscle. Thanks for watching. Please like, subscribe, and tell your friends about my channel. Have a very nice day, and I hope to see you soon. Bye bye.